Chapter 1. The Chance Encounter. Mia had always been a woman of ambition, someone who was driven to succeed in every aspect of her life. As the CEO of a successful marketing firm, she had worked hard to climb the corporate ladder and was now at the top of her game. She had a luxurious apartment in the heart of the city, a closet full of designer clothes, and a circle of influential friends who admired her success. But as she sat in the crowded cafe, watching the rain pour down outside, she couldn't help feeling a little lost. She had just left another high-powered meeting, and while everything had gone according to plan, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. As she sipped her coffee and scrolled through her emails, she noticed a man walk in who seemed to be completely unaffected by the dreary weather. He had a wild mop of curly hair and was wearing a paint-splattered jacket that looked like it had seen better days. As he made his way to the counter, he flashed a wide grin at the barista and ordered a cappuccino with extra foam. Mia couldn't help but watch as he took a seat at the table next to hers. As she studied him, she couldn't help but feel drawn to his carefree demeanor. He seemed completely unburdened by the pressures of the world, his only focus on enjoying the simple pleasures of life. For a moment, Mia felt a pang of jealousy, realizing that she had never allowed herself to let go in the same way. "Excuse me, do you have a pen I could borrow?" he asked, looking over at her with a friendly smile. Mia hesitated for a moment, unsure if she should engage with a stranger, but something about his easy charm put her at ease. She handed him a pen, and he quickly scribbled something in a small notebook before handing it back to her. "Thanks, I owe you one," he said with a wink before turning his attention back to his drink. Mia looked down at the notebook and saw that he had written his name and phone number, with a little doodle of a flower next to it. She couldn't help but smile at the gesture, feeling a little thrill of excitement at the possibility of a new adventure. As the man gathered his things and left the cafe, Mia couldn't help but feel a little disappointed that she hadn't had a chance to learn more about him. But as she made her way back to her office, she found herself thinking more and more about the mysterious artist with the wild hair. For the rest of the day, Mia found herself distracted and unable to concentrate on her work. She kept glancing down at the little notebook with the phone number, wondering if she should take the chance and call him. As the day wore on, she found herself growing increasingly restless, the thought of this stranger occupying her every waking moment. Eventually, she couldn't take it anymore and picked up the phone, dialing the number written in the notebook. The phone rang twice before he picked up, his voice friendly and warm. "Hello," he said. "Hi, it's Mia from the cafe," she said, feeling a little foolish. "Oh, hi," he said, sounding genuinely pleased. "I was hoping you'd call." Mia couldn't help but smile, feeling a sudden burst of excitement at the sound of his voice. "Would you like to meet up sometime?" she asked, feeling a little nervous. "I'd love that," he said, and they made plans to meet at a local gallery opening that was happening that weekend. Mia hung up the phone, feeling a mixture of nerves and excitement. She couldn't remember the last time she had been so eager to see someone. For the rest of the week, she found herself eagerly anticipating their meeting, unable to focus on anything else. Finally, the day of the gallery opening arrived. Mia spent hours getting ready, carefully selecting the perfect outfit and making sure her hair and makeup were flawless. As she made her way to the gallery, her heart was racing with anticipation. When she arrived, she was immediately struck by the beauty of the paintings on display. Each piece was more stunning than the last, and she found herself lost in thought as she wandered through the gallery. Suddenly, she spotted him across the room, standing in front of a particularly striking painting. He was wearing the same paint-splattered jacket as before, and his hair was just as wild as she remembered. As she approached him, he turned and smiled at her, his eyes lighting up with recognition. "Mia, hi," he said, taking her hand and pulling her into a warm embrace. Mia couldn't help but feel a sudden rush of affection for this quirky and passionate artist. "Your paintings are incredible," she said, gesturing to the piece he had been studying. "Thank you," he said, looking a little bashful. "I'm glad you like them." They spent the rest of the evening wandering through the gallery, admiring the art and chatting about everything from their favorite movies to their childhood memories. Mia found herself drawn to his infectious energy and his willingness to be completely himself around her. As the night wore on, the gallery began to clear out, leaving just the two of them standing in front of a particularly breathtaking painting. "This is my favorite piece," he said, his voice soft. Mia looked at the painting, a beautiful portrait of a woman with dark hair and piercing blue eyes. As she studied it, she couldn't help but feel a sense of familiarity, as if she had seen the painting before. "I feel like I've seen this before," she said, turning to him with a quizzical look. He smiled at her, his eyes twinkling with amusement. That's because you have, he said, taking her hand. It's a portrait of you. Mia felt her heart skip a beat, completely taken aback by his words. What do you mean? She asked, feeling a little dazed. I painted it from memory, he said, his voice low. I couldn't get you out of my head. Mia felt a sudden surge of emotion, her heart racing with excitement and fear. She had never felt so alive, so completely consumed by the possibility of love. As they stood there, gazing at the painting, Mia knew that her life would never be the same again. She had stumbled upon something rare and beautiful, something that had the potential to change everything, and she couldn't wait to see where it would take her. The rest of the night was a blur. They talked for hours, lost in their own world, oblivious to everything around them. It was as if they were the only two people in the room, and the rest of the world had melted away. As they left the gallery, he took her hand and led her out onto the street. It was a crisp autumn night, and the air was filled with the scent of fallen leaves and wood smoke. He pulled her close, wrapping his arm around her shoulders, and she felt a warm rush of contentment. They walked for hours, talking and laughing and enjoying each other's company. They wandered through quiet residential streets and down bustling avenues, stopping occasionally to admire a particularly beautiful building or street performer. As the night wore on, they found themselves in a small park, surrounded by the flickering lights of the city. They sat down on a bench facing each other, and he took her hand in his. Mia, I know this sounds crazy, but I feel like I've known you forever, he said, his eyes searching hers. Mia felt a sudden pang of emotion, her heart racing with excitement and fear. She knew that he was right, that there was something between them that she couldn't quite explain. I feel the same way, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He leaned in closer, his eyes intense. Mia, I know we just met, but I feel like we have something special. Will you give me a chance to show you how much you mean to me? Mia felt a rush of emotion, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that this was it, that this was the moment she had been waiting for. Yes, she said, feeling a surge of excitement. Yes, I will. He leaned in and kissed her, his lips soft and warm against hers. It was a simple, tender kiss, but it held a promise of something deeper, something more profound. As they pulled away, they looked at each other, their eyes shining with hope and possibility. And in that moment, they both knew that their lives had changed forever. They had found something rare and beautiful, something that had the potential to change everything, and they couldn't wait to see where it would take them. They sat there for a while longer, talking about everything and nothing, their hands intertwined. As the night grew colder, he pulled his jacket around them, trying to keep them both warm. Finally, they stood up and he wrapped his arm around her waist, guiding her towards her apartment. As they walked, they both knew that something had shifted between them. They had both felt it, that electric spark that had been growing stronger and stronger throughout the night. And now, they were on the cusp of something new and exciting, something that neither of them could quite define. When they reached her apartment, he walked her to the door, his hand still wrapped tightly around hers. Mia, I had an incredible night, he said, his voice filled with sincerity. I can't wait to see you again. Me too, she replied, her heart beating faster with every passing moment. They stood there for a moment longer, staring into each other's eyes, lost in the intensity of the moment. And then he leaned in and kissed her again, his lips soft and gentle against hers. It was a moment that she would never forget, a moment that felt like the beginning of something truly special. As she watched him walk away, Mia knew that everything had changed. She had met someone who had turned her world upside down, someone who made her feel alive in a way that she had never experienced before. And as she went to bed that night, her mind buzzing with excitement and possibility, she knew that she had taken a step towards something incredible. Little did she know that this was just the beginning. There were so many adventures, challenges, and joys that lay ahead for her and this wonderful man who had come into her life. And Mia couldn't wait to experience it all. Over the next few days, Mia couldn't stop thinking about him. She went about her daily routines, but he was always at the back of her mind, a constant presence that she couldn't ignore. And then, just when she thought she couldn't bear the anticipation any longer, he called. Mia, hi, it's me, he said, his voice warm and inviting. Hi, she replied, her heart beating faster with every passing moment. I was wondering if you'd like to grab lunch with me today. There's a little cafe down the street that I've been dying to try out. Mia felt a surge of excitement. She had been waiting for this moment, counting down the hours until she could see him again. Absolutely, she said, trying to keep the excitement out of her voice. They met at the cafe, a cozy little spot with mismatched chairs and a wall covered in vintage postcards. They ordered sandwiches and talked for hours, lost in their own world once again. As they ate, Mia felt a deep sense of contentment. It was as if they were meant to be together, as if they had known each other for years instead of just a few days. And as the afternoon wore on, she knew that this was just the beginning. There was so much more to explore, so much more to discover about each other. As they left the cafe, he took her hand and they walked towards the park, their fingers entwined. And as they sat on a bench, watching the world go by, Mia knew that she was falling for him, hard and fast. It was a scary thought, but also an exhilarating one. She had never felt this way before, and she knew that it was something special. As the sun began to set, he leaned in and kissed her, his lips soft and tender against hers. It was a simple, perfect moment, and Mia knew that she would never forget it. They parted ways that evening, but Mia knew that this was just the beginning. There were so many adventures, so many joys, and so many challenges that lay ahead for her in this wonderful man who had come into her life. And as she walked home, her heart overflowing with love and possibility, she knew that she was ready for anything that the future might hold. Over the next few weeks, Mia and he spent more and more time together, exploring the city and discovering new places. They laughed together, shared stories and experiences, and gradually grew closer with each passing day. Mia felt like she was living in a dream. She had never been so happy, so content with her life. He was everything she had ever wanted in a partner, kind, generous, and endlessly supportive. And then, one day, he surprised her with a weekend getaway to a nearby beach. Mia had never been more excited. They packed their bags, jumped in the car, and drove towards the coast, the wind blowing through their hair. The beach was beautiful, a long stretch of white sand and crystal clear water. They spent their days sunbathing, swimming, and exploring the nearby towns, lost in their own little world. As the sun began to set on their last night there, he took Mia by the hand and led her towards the water's edge. "Mia, there's something I want to tell you," he said, his voice soft and tender. Mia felt her heart racing. She knew what was coming, and she couldn't wait to hear him say it. "I know we've only known each other for a short while, but I feel like I've known you forever. You make me happier than I ever thought possible, and I can't imagine my life without you in it." He got down on one knee, taking her hand in his. "Mia, will you marry me?" Tears sprang to Mia's eyes as she nodded, her voice choked with emotion. "Yes, of course, I will." And as he slipped the ring onto her finger, they kissed, lost in their own little world once again. Mia knew that this was just the beginning. There were so many adventures, joys, and challenges that lay ahead for them, but she couldn't wait to experience it all with him by her side. As they walked back to their little cottage, hand in hand, she felt a sense of contentment wash over her. This was her future, and she couldn't wait to see where it would take her. And so, as the stars twinkled in the sky above them, Mia knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be, in the arms of the man she loved, ready to take on whatever the world had in store for them.